Hello and thank you for joining me today. It is the first Wednesday in the month of September, and this is the Women Series where we capture developments and stories that impact women. I am Ayomide Oguntoye. The increase in food prices in the country is not new to anyone. I mean, even a toddler knows this. The glaring insecurity amongst other global issues have led to an acute rise in food prices due to the substantial reduction in food production. Well, some people argue this, but what we know is that from July 2020 till date, prices of basic food items like rice, beans, yam vegetables, poultry products, and amongst other things, I've seen a steady rise with millions of Nigerians struggling to adjust to it, and it doesn't seem to get any better. Now, what are the factors contributing to the increase in food prices? Can the price volatility be controlled? What exactly is the role of commodities exchange in food price stability? Well, I have a guest joining me today virtually to have this conversation with me. But before we meet with her, we went to the market to do a little market survey of the prices of basic food items. Let's take a look. Hello, so I'm at the market today and I'm doing a quick market survey as to what I can buy with 7,000 naira. So I have 7,000 naira with me. I want to see what I can buy with that in today's market, considering the fact that things are really, really expensive. So I'm starting with my vegetables. Let's see. I'm a market woman today. I'm actually a market woman today. So I really want to see what I can buy with 7,000 naira. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I really do hope after all of these things I buy, I even have change to go home because I'm scared even before starting. So let's start. Aboki, how far? How you doing? I won't buy pepper. I don't know how much I won't buy, but I won't buy pepper. How much be this one? This one 200. How many pieces there? Just 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5. This one 200. How much be this one? This one sell 200. Oh yeah, sell pepper and tomato. This one about Wabi. Sell 600 naira. Let me see. No, everything together. This one at 600. Okay. Okay. Bring it. Look what 600 naira can buy in today's market. This is 600 naira worth of pepper and tomatoes. 600 naira. Ma, well done, ma.
Welcome.
How much is tomato? How much is plantain?
It's 1,000 naira.
How many is in one bunch? This one like this is 1,000 naira. How many do we even have here?
We have 5.
5.
Yeah.
So how much is if one like this is 1,000 naira? How much is now a full bunch of plantain now?
We are buying before 30,000, 25,000. We are buying 15,000 before, but now we are buying 60,000.
60,000.
Yes, per dozen. We are buying 40,000. It depends on the qualities, how the plantain is big, because we get smaller and big.
When was the last time you bought it for 15,000?
It's the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
now it's
But now, I'm buying yesterday a dozen, 35,000 naira. But it's not big like this, yes. But before we're buying biggest one. 25,000, 30,000 naira. Things is not like that again. Things is cost.
That's really, really, really somehow.
Before we were selling this one 300 naira. Now it's 500 naira.
Remember when I used to buy this thing 200 naira?
200 naira.
I remember when I actually used to buy it 200 naira.
1,000 naira.
But now it's 1,000 naira. These things cost a premium, an actual premium. Yes, ma. Thank you very much, ma. What can you use this money to buy in the market now? Are you serious? 5,000 naira.
2 pence of rice.
How much is 12,000 right today?
I've had 1,000 to 2 pence.
But before no, but before 2 pence of rice, how much were you buying 2 pence of rice before?
And even 2 years now, as of 2 years, it's 2,500. That's one years. 1 pence of rice. Yeah.
Yes.
For now, you
One,
buy
two,
2 pence of rice for 5,000 naira.
No. Yes. Yes. 2,500 is 1 pence of rice. 2 is 5,000. It's a small one. Yeah, the big one. The big one is 5,000.
Okay, so if even my remaining 5,000 I cannot even buy 2 pence of interesting. Very much interesting. Which one are you buying?
So you can see the 5,000 naira can.
Which one are you buying?
I'm buying the long one.
Oh, you are buying the long one.
Yes.
Should I buy the long one too? I have other things to buy, so I need to be wise with how I spend my money. Let me buy the small one. But I'll buy Derica. I'll buy Derica. For 1 Derica. How much was 1 Derica before? How much is Gary now?
Is it paint or half paint? Paint is 1,000.
How much was it before?
Before it's 700.
Now it's 1,000.
Yes.
Let me buy beans. Let me buy beans. Beans also 1 Derica. How much is bean one Derica? 1 Derica is 500. So which one is this one? I know there's Oloyi, there's drum. Oloyi is 600. Let me buy Oloyi. Let's buy good stuff. How much is Oporoko? Okay, how much is dry fish?
Depends the size.
This is yellow Gary.
Yeah.
How much is yellow Gary?
For paint or for Derica.
For Derica.
Derica is 200.
For paint, how much is it?
1,000.
Okay, for people that used to eat Gary. Have you heard? It's 1,000. That's all now.
Okay.
What else am I buying? Let's buy Gary.
Is it white or yellow?
White. I don't take it.
Derica or
No paint. Derica.
Derica is 200.
Let's buy Derica. Sorry. How much was it before?
Before it's 100 naira.
100
Even
naira.
50 naira.
Even 50 naira. But now it's now 200 naira. Very
This is
good.
how Nigeria
Very good.
It's going now. God will help us for this Nigeria now. Going to market with huge of money, come back with you even think you think that you lost money. You didn't lost anything. 1 bag of rice now is 35,000. Derica is 600, 550. Depends. Even those that are selling it, they are not making profit. They're just doing turnover. It's God that will help us, and our leaders, they have to do something. It's getting out of the hand. They have to help, because all fingers are not equal. Even some with family, they can't feed them now. Things are very difficult, expensive for people. Even it's only God that will help us.
Thank you. It's only God that will save us for real, because things are super expensive. And sometimes I just wonder how people even survive this period. I wonder how people eat.
Please, can you give me Gary to see? I need, even if you have Derica,
Yeah.
nothing for the children and the
Yeah.
How can I talk for this country? It's God that will help us.
This price definitely cost an arm and a leg. Well, let's see if the Commodities Exchange have solutions to this pricing problem. I have Tolu Owolabi joining me from Abuja today. Tolu is the National Sales Manager at AFEX Nigeria. Hello, Tolu. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. So let's go straight into the conversation we have today. We're talking about the role of Commodities Exchange in the food price stability. With understanding of the fact that price of food commodities is largely influenced by the law of demand and supply, what exactly or who sets the price of food commodities?
So for commodity exchange, the market actually sets the price on the exchange, and the market sets the price. Why? Because in the market you have both buyers and sellers playing on the same field on the exchange, right? And everybody, so both buyer and seller come to set prices for which they're willing to either sell or buy their commodities. And so all buyers and sellers who make up the market in itself are actually responsible for setting the price in on the exchange.
All right. Now we understand that the commodities exchange sets the price, but how exactly is the commodities exchange structured to support food commodities price in Nigeria?
So the exchange is structured to ensure certain things.
Okay.
The first is that the exchange ensures an increase in price discovery. Now, most times you have price volatility because not everybody knows the price, right? So I'll give you an example. Say a farmer in Jos, right, is buying maize from, or someone in Jos goes to buy maize from Jingri market, right? The person knows the price there, right? But then the price in, say, Kaduna McAfee market is different. So the person knows that the price in Jos is probably higher, but then the farmer in McAfee doesn't know that he can get that value for that. And so this person or this buyer takes advantage and goes to a place like McAfee and buys for lower, right? Now, what happens is that you then have price instability across different places. But on the exchange, there is an open, it's open, right? So each person has to display the price for which they're buying their commodity. So flour mills of Nigeria, for instance, has to write the price for which they're buying, right? The average seller has to write the price for which he's selling his commodity. Now, because of that price discovery, you cannot really play the market because it's glaring for everybody to see the price available for buy. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
There's an increased information. That increased information then leads to better price stability. So take, for instance, when the Ukraine and Russia war started, right? There was price volatility because prices just went up. Yeah. But by the time information started streaming in to say, look, oh, Russia is selling, Ukraine is selling, what happened? Buyers now began to have more, leverage to then have better negotiation power. And then, of course, the prices started to come down and getting a little more stable. So the structure of the exchange is such that the prices are available for all parties to see. And this eliminates arbitrage, right? So it makes that there is an open playing field for everybody. So if you come and you see the price and you're not willing to buy at that price, somebody else's price may be of better interest to you, right? And guess what? Or if you come to buy rather 1,000 metric ton of maize, right, of white maize, and you see different prices for same quality, you probably would go for a price that is more favorable to your buy power, correct? Yeah, what then happens is the other person who probably has set a price that is probably ridiculous then has to readjust in order to be able to sell off that commodity. Do you see what I mean? So that structure then helps that nobody can really go, you can, of course, there would not be somebody wanting to go too low because everybody's in it for profit, but then nobody can go outrageously too high because, of course, your price is open. You can even see every other person's price. So if you're willing to sell, you're going to have to then modify your pricing to fit accordingly enough to sell, right? So this definitely helps to put a lot of things in perspective. Another thing to note is something we call the impute note, which is something AFEX does now. But it helps to provide, and when we say impute note, it simply means able to supply inputs to farmers at a cost, of course, but available and affordable enough to ensure that they're able to produce more. And so there's a lot of supply on the exchange. Because if you don't have supply, then the exchange in itself cannot properly work.
Okay, now, so let's bring it down. Let's bring it close to the small scale sellers or retailers. So how does all of this, how does this structure influence their markets?
So like I just said, right, one of that is the input financing that we do at AFEX today, which is ensuring that the average smallholder farmer has access to inputs and on credit, he's able to increase his farm size year in, year out, is able to increase his production, which of course means that his output will increase, which of course means that there's enough supply available, but also is the fact that we try to ensure that there are also storage facilities for the farmer, right? And these storage facilities are built relatively very close to where the farmer clusters are. The idea is this: look, if a farmer, and I give you an example, right? So say a farmer cultivated an 8 hectare. On the average, because of the training provided, the field services, training, technical support provided on the field, the output of the farmer, which we've seen over the years, grows from probably 1 or 1.5 to about 4, 3.5 to 4, which is the current average, say. Ideally, before now, what happens is the farmer just takes all of that to the market and sells it off. Okay. What then happens is, because he has sold all of that, he doesn't even keep enough to eat. So that same farmer then has to go back to the market some other time to then go and buy. And because he sold off all of that, somebody else sitting in the middle has probably bought it, right? The middle guy has bought it. The middle guy has stored it. The middle guy is then able to manage the market or control the market, which is not what we're looking for, right? So what we've done this time around is to say, look, as a farmer, you have, it's like a last mile farmer direct sale to buyer. So first of all, the farmer has the choice now to be able to decide when to sell. Yeah. So he could say, I want to store out of my 3 metric ton or 4 metric ton that I got, I want to store 2. I'm willing to sell 2 right now, right? By the time he's willing to sell the other 2, he then sells that and says, I want to sell 1, probably in February. In April, he says, I want to sell another 1. What happens at that time is, and this is one farmer, and I imagine you're thinking to yourself, but this is just one guy. No, but think across it for 1 million farmers and the volume we're talking about across 1 million farmers, right? What that means is that there's a control of how commodities are released into the market, especially on the exchange, right? Because since AFEX does the last mile sales system where the farmer can then, we help the farmer to be able to sell his commodity directly to the buyer on the exchange. That way he makes premium for his commodity. That's one. You've eliminated the middle buyer, right? And then you're able to then control that. Well, I wouldn't really say control, but you're able to manage, because you cannot fully control, but you're able to, we are able to manage, and help to better regulate the prices on the exchange, pretty much. So we don't actually regulate the prices, but we do help to manage the prices. If create some form of price stability and giving better profits and incentive to the farmer to continue supply.
Right, very well said. You've been able to merge like 2 of my questions together. You've spoken to the initiative from AFEX, which of course you mentioned the inputs, and then one of the major challenge, of course, which is warehouse. But let's talk about one major challenge that I think you did not mention, which would be transporting these things from the farmers to the mainstream market, or from the farm to the mainstream market. Is there anything that AFEX is trying to help these farmers such that logistics becomes like a less problem for them?
So yes, because like I just mentioned, we have the warehouses very close to all their farmer clusters. And most of their farms are within the cluster formation, right? The idea of this is that it then saves that farmer the cost of logistics or transportation to bring that commodity into the warehouse. It's so good that an average farmer who probably has just a motorcycle to move his grain can literally go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Until he's done bringing his commodity. This then helps to reduce even the cost for which they are willing to sell on the exchange. Because if you have spent quite a lot on transporting your commodity from the farm to the warehouse, you obviously would have to account for that in your sell price.
Yeah, definitely.
But considering that the distance, exactly, so considering that the distance isn't too far enough that the cost of that has a strong implication on your sell price, it helps to keep the pricing at a stable sense. And again, because obviously there's a storage system, buyers are able to plan when they want to peak, right? So versus having that glut system thing where at one point every buyer is, scrambling all through the market, because there's a storage system now, a buyer can plan better and say, oh, I would pick up 5,000 metric ton at this time, 10,000 metric ton at this time. It gives room to ensure that even the the challenges that comes with the hike in price of transportation at several seasons is able to be properly managed. But most importantly also is that it also helps the process. I mean, there's little control you can have on diesel costs, diesel prices, when other governments, but I mean, this helps the processor or the buyer, whoever it is, to be able to plan better, to store better, to reduce the amount of time he then needs to move trucks back and forth. And that just helps in better business planning and all.
Definitely, it helps to manage the whole process from the farm to the final consumer. One major thing, I think you talked about the Russian-Ukraine war and how this has largely influenced food security generally. But what exactly are the lessons for Nigeria in terms of food security from the Russian-Ukraine war? What exactly is it that we can take out of that experience such that it helps us to manage our food security better?
I would say, first of all, this will probably have taught us that as a nation, we have to be our supply. And I mean, our smallholder farmers make up a large chunk of probably about 70% ish of our total food supply as a nation. And this is saying that, one is, what do we need to do to empower these people better? So the first is to then help our farmers grow that network, grow that portfolio well, increase our supply. And I mean, we could also then, pay attention to commercial farmers. Quite a number of people are beginning to go into commercial farming as well as a whole. Quite a lot of people are beginning to go into commercial farming as a whole. And I mean, it's just right now to begin to encourage those people as well. To say, what, how do we make getting land easier, right? How do we make loans, finance, input financing more available for people like this? And it's not just input in terms of, because if we keep farming the old way, we will always get the old result, right? A lot of developed countries are now into more mechanized agriculture. It's about time we also begin to look at that, right? To say, how do we ensure that the average farmer has more mechanized tools, the commercial farmer has more mechanized tools, and the financing is made in such a way that he can pay over a couple of years, that still allows him to break even and make some form of profit every year. That way he's encouraged, right? But beyond that is also saying, look, what are we putting in place to also train these people, right? To ensure that they get proper training and their output improves, right? The other piece is to say, look, certification in itself, right? When some of these commodities come out and they're harvested, do we have proper storage facilities to house them? Do we have the right silos? I mean, what have we put in place that can help ensure that we can store quite a lot of volume and release, gradually across the season, but give enough comfort to processors to know that we have the volume that they can buy, right? And we have the right quality, because quality is also a very big deal. If the quality isn't good enough, then that's a big problem. So quality from the farm, quality at the storage and storage facilities before it gets to the end user. I mean, that's also important. And then, of course, I mean, if farmers get better input financing, they're able to do more. And the input financing at cost that is affordable, cost that doesn't put so much burden on the average farmer. If that happens, then he's able to produce more. He's able to also sell that more, because remember, nobody is in business to make loss, right? So you want to produce to be able to supply and break even, but also make profit. That way, you're encouraged to do more. So that as well, right, is very important. And then, of course, certification, like I said, down to our raw materials, right? Our cocoa, our ginger, our sesame, right? Do we have the proper cleaning facilities that can ensure? And I mean, good AFEX does have some of these things, but I mean, we're one people, right? But in order to be able to, and we're just in a fraction of the market. People think it's a big fraction, but there's a lot more out there, right? And these are things that we need to do to give a lot of comfort, one, to the person, consuming the commodity. I don't think you would be impressed in eating commodity that is not up to standard, even as a consumer, right? So, and that puts a lot of burden even on the processor. If he has to pay extra to get that commodity right before it gets to your table, versus something that should have been sorted from the farm gate, I mean, that then tells a lot on the pricing that comes back to you, the consumer, who at the end of the day is the one that suffers, right? So I would just say there are quite a lot, but I would say these few things are some of the things I can do, right? Credit facilities at good interest rates, good proper funding for all of the value chain. I mean, everybody that plays within the chain, right? Those are some of the things that I would probably say could really help.
Right. Thank you very much. I think that's a good way for us to end today's conversation. At the end of the day, it can only be managed. We can manage the process, and then every other thing falls into place. Thank you, Tolu, for coming on the program today. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Do have a beautiful day.
And you too. This is where we end today's conversation, but a big win or a big development for women in politics. A big congratulations to Liz Truss on being elected as the new Prime Minister in Britain. Congratulations to everyone. Congratulations to Liz Truss. We can keep the conversation going by following our social media platforms showing on the screen. Please send in your thoughts, your comments. We would definitely respond. Do well to also visit our website at www.proshare.co to get the latest news around the financial market. And until next Wednesday, I am Ayomide Oguntoye, and thank you for watching.